from the prophet Zephaniah. Shout for joy, fair Zion. Cry aloud, O Israel. Rejoice and be glad in your heart, fair Jerusalem. The Lord has annulled the judgment against you. He has swept away your foes. Israel, sovereign, the Lord is within you. You need fear misfortune no more. In that day this shall be said to Jerusalem, have no fear, O Zion. Let not your hands droop. Your God, the Lord, is in your midst. A warrior who brings triumph. He will rejoice over you and be glad. He will shout over you with jubilation. He will soothe with his love those long disconsolate. I will take away from you the woe over which you endured mockery. At that time, I will make an end of all who afflicted you. I will rescue the lame sheep and gather the strayed, and I will exchange their disgrace for fame and renown in all the earth. At that time I will gather you, and at that time I will bring you home, for I will make you renowned and famous among all the peoples of the earth, when I restore your fortunes before their very eyes, said the Lord. You know, I'm starting to feel like I'm spending this whole Advent season talking about myself. In the first week, I was talking about it without talking about it. You know, I wasn't quite ready yet. My car trouble, though, it was behind my own search for hope. Last week, I was coming to terms with what happened to the car and discovering the next step in this automobile journey. All that was behind my own search for peace. This week, there is a whole new thing behind my own search for joy. Last Sunday, I was here with Allie and with Seth while they were practicing sabbatical music. I was going back and forth looking for stuff, and I get a frantic call from Megan. She could hardly speak. I wasn't sure what was going on, but I knew I had to go. She had just found our dog Kimbo dead on the couch. You know, when we got Kimbo, like 5 or so years ago, he was staying temporarily at the vet. He couldn't stay with his old family anymore. They were looking for a new home for him. And they said if they couldn't find a good home for him, they were going to have to put him down because they were afraid that he would end up in a bad home. So I just happened to stop in there with Bianca. Kimbo was the black one in the front, Bianca's the white one in the back. So I stopped there at the vet with Bianca to pick up her medicine or something, I don't remember what, and they asked if we wanted a dog. We didn't. We knew Bianca too well, and we knew that she didn't want another dog in the house. But that big old dog, also, he looked intimidating. I don't know about this dog. But he turned out to be so nice and gentle, we thought we might give it a try. See how Bianca reacts, all right? Test it out. So they met on mutual ground there at the vet, and they did okay. Not great, but okay. And so we said, all right, let's bring them home one night. Let's see how they do. Bianca didn't like that at all. She wanted to eat his face the whole time. She's a little testy, but we made her tolerate him being in the room, and meanwhile he didn't want to be there either. He was kind of a little hesitant to be anywhere near her, and he was just trying to stay as far out of her way as possible. So it wasn't great, but it was okay enough to give it another night, and that was it. Night after night, Kimbo joined our family. At some point, Kimbo and Bianca became those two peas in a pod, never left each other's side. That dog brought so much love and joy into all our lives, all of our lives, everybody in the family, everybody who ever met him. The kindest, sweetest, most gentle thing that's ever walked this earth, even though he did walk like a pit bull in a china shop. He didn't want to do anything but kiss you. He was obsessive about kissing. He'd start kissing you, and he would not stop kissing you unless you made him stop. And he kissed everything. And when the dogs would play, Bianca plays a little too rough. You know, we think she probably had a hard knock life before she lived with us. She'd like to chew on his face a little bit. And then Kimbo, he would just kiss her until she'd shut up. It's like he was trying to get a lifetime of kisses in during his few short years on this earth. He forever changed Bianca. The only real friend that she's ever had, and maybe ever will have. He taught her how to love another animal. You just couldn't not like him. Like Bianca really tried to not like him, but you just can't not like him. He was too goofy, too sweet, too loving, too joyful to resist. You could be having the absolute worst day, and you walk in the house, and he's running back and forth, man. He just go back and forth. He's wagging his tail, and his tail was like a whip. If he whipped you with it, you might have a bruise on your leg the next day. It was a tough tail whipping around. And he was smiling. He had two kinds of smiles. He had one that's this Elvis smile, just one lip. You know, that was a real cool smile. And then he had the full cheese, all right, that $1 million smile, full smile all the way across. And he'd just bring you joy. No matter who you were, what you were going through. Joy just so strong you can't resist. This kind of joy is what the prophet Zephaniah is talking about. A joy so strong that you can't resist. Shout for joy, fair Zion. Cry aloud, O Israel. Now, Zephaniah, he was a prophet who was an advisor to King Josiah, and this was a time when things were not going too well in the southern kingdom. The northern kingdom was all gone. It had already been wiped out by the Assyrians, and then meanwhile, the southern kingdom, they were trying to keep Babylon and Egypt, two big empires nearby. He was trying to keep them from breathing down their necks too hard. And Zephaniah was saying things leading up to this passage, this joyful passage here that we got, and he was saying things that things were going to get worse before they were going to get better. Times were about to get real hard. But that wasn't the end of the story. God would afterwards restore their joy, and then some. Where we pick up on Zephaniah's message today, he's just been spending the last 2.5 chapters describing how bad things were going to get. The people, they were a mess, and they were in a mess of a situation. The consequences were looming. God was about to scorch the earth for their sins. And literally, what we're talking about here is the threat of Babylon. Babylon was about to come and destroy Jerusalem and all the southern kingdom and send everybody into exile. The devastating effects would be felt far beyond that. But it wasn't the end of the story. Afterward, God would rescue the lame. God would gather the stray. So as Christians, we see this and we look, a lot further than that event that happened in Jerusalem. And as Christians, we see this and we know that things do get really bad. Things may get even worse. Yes, but that only gives us more reason to rejoice and not have fear, because we know that that's not the end of the story. We know what comes next. Despite every ache and pain this world can dish out, sin will be forgiven. Death will be defeated. Darkness shall flee when the light shines. And it's all beginning very soon in the birth of a child. So no matter what troubles we're going through, we still have this joy coming from somewhere that means so much, that's so strong, we just can't even resist it. Some of us have been having a bad week, but here we are smiling and laughing together, and it's not fake, it's not covering up anything, it's genuine. How is that possible for the joy to shine through a tough time? Jesus Christ, God's love and joy incarnate. Our Lord and Savior, Messiah of God, will come into our lives. That's where joy really comes from. Showing us. He will come into our lives and show us how deep God's love really is. He will show us that the presence of God physically does exist and dwells among us, and God's love is always wrapped around us. You know, we had a hard time this week losing Kimbo. Those of us who've owned dogs will quickly say it's like losing a child. You can't see as well with Kimbo, but they are both very muddy, looking very pathetic because they are in trouble right there. But that's how we've been feeling this week. Feel like we lost a child. Although I don't really know that, you know. Those who've lost a child are the only ones who can say what it feels like to lose a child. Those who've lost a child and a pet are the only ones who can really make the comparison. I don't know what it's like to lose a child, and I pray that none of us ever do. Even so, it hurts an awful lot to lose Kimbo. It is absolutely like losing a member of the family. I can say that for sure. I know what that feels like. Family who you spend every day and night with, and he's here one minute and then gone the next. Poor Bianca's been grieving too. She's been down, and she spazzed out a few times when we weren't home this week. You know, knocking down cabinets and dragging around and tearing up 40-pound water softeners, salt bags, and tearing up carpet, trying to dig a tunnel under the door into the bedroom. You know, that kind of stuff. We've got her some anti-anxiety meds as we're finding our new normal. She's learning how to be alone again. It is a tough time. It's a sad time to get up and proclaim God's promise of joy in church. As we're moving along in the grieving process, we're becoming able to talk about Kimbo and laugh more than we cry. We got him cremated with his favorite blanket. We got a paw print, lock of his fur, tangible reminder that he's always with us. You know, the furniture thing. I cannot help but to smile about where he died, as sad as it is. He ended up dying on the couch. And he wasn't allowed on the furniture before we got him. And then we had to teach him how to get on furniture, teach him that it was okay to get on furniture, because we wanted him on the couch with us. And then he loved that couch, and he died on that couch. I'm very thankful he died in peace. I'm very thankful that Megan was home last week sick from church, and she was there with him. He was an angel who was dropped into our lives and blessed everyone he met with joy and kisses, a joy that none of us could resist, even if we tried. So much that I'm up here on Sunday morning talking about a dog like it was my son. The joy somehow overcomes pain. It hurts so much, but somehow we're able to say, you know what? He was worth it. What we've gained in just a few years with that little angel is priceless. Wouldn't trade it for anything, even if my heart hurts like I think it would to lose a child. So rejoice and be glad with all your heart, fair Jerusalem. Have no fear, fair Zion. Show your $1,000,000 smiles. We people have gone through a lot in our few years on this earth. We're going to go through a lot more, but do not fear. Rejoice and be glad. God is with you. God will rescue you. God will restore you. God will redeem you. God will give you a very special child very soon. You know, God does know what it feels like to lose a child. But God looked at us and said, you know what? They're worth it. The most gracious of the countless blessings God gives us, Jesus Christ. Because of that most gracious gift of God, we are who we are, Christians spilling over with love, celebrating joy like we're doing right here today. And because of so many more gifts of God's grace, we are reminded that God's got an awful lot more joy to give. No matter how much we're hurting or struggling, even when we know things are only going to get worse before they get any better, rejoice and be glad. Don't try to resist God's joy. It's all right. God will never forsake you. God will restore you. It's going to be all right. God's got so many more special gifts of grace to give you. So if you happen to be on a search for joy like I am today, take a good look in your present and in your past. Take a good look at some of the angels God has dropped into your life and know how deep God's love really is.